Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivraj Chaja Shudra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivraj Chaja Shudra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Gṛhastha-āśrama Bhagavatam Ki Jai Samavira Bhakti Ki Jai Go Premanandi. All glories to the sum of the devotees, all glories, sum of the devotees, all glories, sum of the devotees, all glories, Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. So this morning we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th Canto, Chapter 2, Text 20 through 30. I'm beginning the description here of the story of Gajendra. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tatra. Actually, we read the word as it appears there. Tatra kada tad giri kanashraya karenubir varana yuta pascharan sakantakam kichaka venu vitravad vishala gulmam prarujan vanaspatim tatra kada tad. Is that it? Tatra kada tad girikanashaya karenubir varana yuta pascharan sakandagam chikakavena vetravad vishala gulman prarujan vanaspatin tatra kada tad girikana ashraya karenubir varana yuta pascharan sakandagam chikakavena vetravad vishala gulman prarujan vanaspatin tatra kada tad girikana ashrayam karenubir varana yuta pascharan sakandagam chikakarena vitravad vishala gulman prarujan vanaspatin. Anyone like to chant? Karenubir varana yutas pascharan sakandagam chikakavenu tadam vishala gulman prarujan vanaspatin. Ladies? Oh, excuse me. Go ahead, Prabhu. Tatra kada tad girikanashraya karenubir varana yuta pascharan kadam kadam zikaravena vatravad vishala gulman prarujan vanaspatim. Priya? Tatra kada tad girikana ashraya karenubir varana yuta pascharan sakandagan chikakavena vetravad vishala gulman prarujan vanaspati. Sankarshan, did you join the class? Any questions? Anyone online like to chant? Okay, synonyms. Tatra, therein. Ekada, once upon a time. Tadgiri, of that mountain Trikuta. Āśraya, who lives in the forest. Karenubihi, accompanied by female elephants. Varana Yutapa, the leader of the elephants. Charan, while wandering toward the lake. Sakantakam, a place full of thorns. Chika Renu Vetra Vat, with plants and creepers of different names. Vishala Gulmam, many thickets. Prarujan, breaking. Vanapatin, trees and plants. Translation. The leader of the elephants. Is that what the word Gajendra means? Gajendra, Lord of the elephants. So, there you go. King of the elephants. Who lived in the forest of the mountain Trikuta, once wandered toward the lake with his female elephants. He broke many plants, creepers, thickets, and trees, not caring for their piercing thorns. Text 21. Simply by catching scent of that elephant, all the other elephants, the tigers and other ferocious animals such as lions, rhinoceroses, great serpents, and black and white sarabas fled in fear. The chamari deer also fled. Text 22. By the mercy of this elephant, animals like the foxes, wolves, buffaloes, bears, boars, gopuchas, porcupines, monkeys, rabbits, and other deer, and many other small animals loitered elsewhere in the forest. They were not afraid of him. Purport. All the animals were practically controlled by this elephant, yet although they could move without fear, because of respect, they did not stand before him. Probably a good idea. You get squashed. Next few texts here. Surrounded by the herds, other elephants, including females, and followed by the young ones, Gajapati, the leader of the elephants, made Trikuta mountain tremble all around because of the weight of his body. He was perspiring, liquor dripped from his mouth, and his vision was overwhelmed by intoxication. He was being served by bumblebees who drank honey, and from a distance he could smell the dust of the lotus flowers, which was carried from the lake by the breeze. Thus surrounded by his associates who were afflicted by thirst, he soon arrived at the bank of the lake. Text 25. The king of the elephants entered the lake, bathed thoroughly, and was relieved of his fatigue. Then, with the aid of his trunk, he drank the cold, clear nectarian water, which was mixed with the dust of lotus flowers and water lilies, until he was fully satisfied. 26. Like a human being who lacks spiritual knowledge and is too attached to the members of his family, the elephant, being illusioned by the external energy of Krishna, had his wives and children bathe and drink the water. Indeed, he raised water from the lake with his trunk and sprayed it over them. He did not mind the hard labor involved in this endeavor. Text 27. By the arrangement of providence, O king, a strong crocodile was angry at the elephant and attacked the elephant's leg in the water. The elephant was certainly strong, and he tried his best to get free from this danger sent by providence. You have to watch out for those packages sent by providence. Thereafter, seeing Gajendra in that grave condition, his wives felt very, very sorry and began to cry. The other elephants wanted to help Gajendra, but because of the because of the crocodile's great strength, they could not rescue him by grasping him from behind. Imagine that picture, they're all one's holding on his tail and trying to pull him out. O king, the elephant and the crocodile fought in this way, pulling one another in and out of the water for 1,000 years. Upon seeing the fight, the demigods were very surprised And today's text, text 30. Thereafter, because of being pulled into the water and fighting for many long years, the elephant became diminished in his mental, physical, and sensual strength. The crocodile, on the contrary, being an animal of the water, increased in enthusiasm, physical strength, and sensual power. The purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the fighting between the elephant and the crocodile, the difference was that although the elephant was extremely powerful, he was in a foreign place in the water. During 1,000 years of fighting, he could not get any food, and under the circumstances, his bodily strength diminished. And because his bodily strength diminished, his mind also became weak and his senses less powerful. The crocodile, however, being an animal of the water, had no difficulties. He was getting food and was therefore getting mental strength and sensual encouragement. Thus, while the elephant became reduced in strength, the crocodile became more and more powerful. Now, from this we can take the lesson that in our fight with Māyā, we should not be in a position in which our strength, enthusiasm, and senses will be unable to fight vigorously. Our Krishna consciousness movement has actually declared war against the illusory energy in which all the living entities are rotting in a false understanding of civilization. The soldiers of this Krishna conscious movement must always possess physical strength, enthusiasm, and sensual power. To keep themselves fit, they must therefore place themselves in a normal condition of life. What constitutes a normal condition will not be the same for everyone, and therefore there are divisions of an ashram. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, Brahmacharya, Gṛhastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyāsa. Especially in this age, Kali Yuga, it is advised that no one takes sannyas. Ashramedam gavalambam, sannyasam palapaitrikam. Devarena stutopatim kalau pancha vivarjayat. This quoted is from the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, quoted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's 5 things forbidden in the age of Kali. From this we can understand that in this age, the sannyas ashram is forbidden because people are not strong. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed us an example in taking sannyas at the age of 24 years. But even Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya advised Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be extremely careful because he had taken sannyas at an early age. For preaching, we give young boys sannyas, but actually it is being experienced that they are not fit for sannyas. There is no harm, however, if one thinks that he is unfit for sannyas. If he is very agitated sexually, he should go to the ashram where sex is allowed, namely the Gṛhastha-āśrama. That one has been found to be very weak in one place does not mean that he should stop fighting the crocodile of Māyā. One should take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna as we see Gajendra do, and at the same time one can be a Gṛhastha if he's satisfied with sex indulgence. There's no need to give up the fight. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore recommended stani stita shruti-gatam tanuvan manobi. One may stay in whichever ashram is suitable for him. It is not essential that one take sannyas. If one is sexually agitated, he can enter the Gṛhastha-āśrama, but one must continue fighting. For one who is not in a transcendental position, to take sannyas artificially is not a very great credit. If sannyas is not suitable, one may enter the Gṛhastha-āśrama and fight Māyā with great strength, but one should not give up the fighting and go away. Om Agyantimirandasya Garanjana Salakaya Chakshur Unminitam Nena Taismai Sri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Dena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Svabadandikam. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vanchika Patarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patidanam Bhavani Bho Vaishnavibho Namo Namah. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, we'll talk about a few things. One is what Prabhupada says in the purport here. Now, from this we can take the lesson. So what the lesson is, Prabhupada explained what the lesson is from this fight between the crocodile and the elephant, Gajendra. Talk about that. It's just very, very straightforward. But there's a history behind this purport. Very important history behind this purport, which I'll read about in Harisari's diary. And it brings out Srila Prabhupada's extraordinary preaching in the West, and his expertise, his willing to go against the norm or grain of, you can say, Varnashram or Vedic culture or Hinduism or whatever. Even the Gaudiya Math, his god brothers and so on, who would criticize him. And his giving great hope and mercy to the fallen souls of this age of Kali, giving them an opportunity to engage in devotional service. So, Prabhupada's saying that you can say obvious if you like, but the lesson is that we all have to put ourselves in a position in which we are very, very strong, or as strong as we can possibly be in our fight against Māyā. Chaitanya Charan, in one selection, he was talking about japa, and he says sometimes we think that japa is something like a very mellow, kind of meditative trip. Just sitting there and chanting japa and kind of disconnect. Because actually it's survival training. He said we should see our japa as survival training. In other words, it should be very, very intense. It's not just kind of like what do they call it, elevator music? You heard that term before? Muzak. You get in the elevator and they just got this music playing, just kind of like, no. He said japa is actually a fight, and he said it's survival training. You know what survival training is? You do? Okay. They have these courses sometimes. Of course, in the military they have it all, whatever, but people can also take it if they like. How to survive in the wilderness. Now they have how to survive if there's a hurricane or earthquake, or in other words, you're going to be in a very, very difficult situation. How are you going to survive? Because the odds are against you. The odds are against you. Has anyone here ever read stories about people who were in the water in Africa or different places and they got bitten by an alligator or a crocodile? They got grabbed. Okay? It's not fun. I haven't had an experience myself, but you read different articles about it, different stories of what happens. Because it's interesting. What they do is, you're in the water. Do you have any experience? You know any people? You grew up in the tropics and so on. They actually grab you and they twirl you around until you're drowned. They hold on to you like that. So you're supposed to punch them in the face, punch them in the nose or something like that. Good luck trying to remember that one as you're being spun all over the place by this thing. Has these gigantic, it's grabbed you by the leg or the arm, and sometimes you hear stories of people, they just let them take their arm and they just got out, But it's quite scary. The odds are against you if you're in the water and a crocodile grabs you or an alligator grabs you. So don't. That's why you don't go in the water like that. So, and one may think, well, here's Gajendra is very, very strong. We just read the introduction. He's coming in, and he's so heavy that it says the mountain Trikuta is like moving because of his boom, 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 boom. Elephants can actually be quiet if they like. I was just speaking to this member of our congregation. They showed me pictures the other day. I was at their house. They went on a trip to Thailand, and they went to one of those elephant sanctuaries. And actually, elephants can sneak up on you. I was surprised, but she said they actually can get really quiet. You can barely even hear them. They sneak right up on you. But I guess if they want to make a lot of noise, they can, because he's pounding, 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 and so on. So he's very, very big. He's the king. He's not just like he's the big one. That's in the animal kingdom. The big one is in charge. That's how you get in charge. You fight. He's the elephant in the room, you know. And the most powerful one is in charge, and that's natural. Powerful person is in charge. You need the most powerful person, especially amongst animals. The leader of the pack, or so on, is the most powerful. But despite all of that, he's losing because he's in a situation where his what does Prabhupada say here? He mentions three things. The bodily strength, mind, and senses, all of these things become weak and weak. He had no food. He's fighting. So he's losing. He's losing the fight. So Prabhupada's saying we all have a fight. And like it or not, Krishna conscious means, Prabhupada says, declaring war on Māyā. Declaring war on Māyā. We want to get out. So it's going to be a fight. It's not going to be easy. Does anyone want to leave now? Wait a second, I didn't sign up for this. No, it's actually, there's a fight, and it's not going to be easy. It's a struggle to get out. That's just the way it is. Just like if somehow or other you got bit by a crocodile, it's going to be a struggle to get out. So that's just the nature of this material world. Prakriti stani karshati. It's right there in the Bhagavad Gita. Living entity in this material world, karshati, is struggling. We're struggling to be happy in this material world, which is a hope against hope. Durashraya, right? Hope against hope is never going to happen. And then there's a struggle to get out. That's the glorious struggle. So, but there's always a struggle. It's not that I don't want to struggle. You got to struggle. We're struggling in the material world because we're not meant to be here. So whether we want to struggle and make so many attempts to enjoy in this material world and fail every time. I was listening to a class yesterday, part of a class by Hamsarupa. He's the temple president there in New York. And he referenced, it may be before your time, but when we were growing up, there was a cartoon called The Roadrunner. Right? He was a roadrunner, and Wile E. Coyote. Coyotes like eating roadrunners. And he was always trying, I don't know if you're familiar with this cartoon, but he was trying, you know, every episode he tried, actually within each episode there's a few attempts to catch the roadrunner. He never did. He'd try all these different things and this and that, and he'd always land up falling off a cliff or getting run over by a car, or something would happen. He never, ever caught the roadrunner. Like that. Mahabharata used to watch it. It was one of the first cartoons there in El Salvador, like that. So he told me one of the final episodes he saw was you had the roadrunner, an old roadrunner, and the old coyote right behind him, going like this, and the turtle goes right past the two of them. In other words, they tried their whole life into the old age, just like barely could walk. They're still trying to catch them, but they're so slow, they're so old, a turtle goes by. You know, that's pretty slow. But that's your struggle, but you never get it. That's one kind of struggle. You never get it. The other kind of struggle is you get out of the material world, you become happy, go back home, back to Godhead. But the warning or the intelligence is put ourselves in a position that's where we're the strongest. To keep fighting. Now, this is tricky, because one may say, well, you know something, I just don't feel comfortable here. I think I'm going to adjust my situation. But we got to be careful we don't adjust it to the point where we're no longer fighting. That's it's unnatural. Prabhupada says normal. Put yourself in a normal condition of life. What's that referring to is that we feel very strong and satisfied and happy in our pursuing Krishna consciousness. Not that we just feel happy and we don't feel the pressure. Is that what they use? Pressurized? Is that what they say in India? Pressurized. Like a pressure cooker. So one shouldn't feel so much pressure they become unenlivened, but there should always be some tension. Right? What is that saying? No pain, no gain. What does that refer to? Weightlifting or working out. If you go to the gym and you lift something like this, oh, what a workout. Nothing's going to happen. There has to be some tension like that. There has to be some, you can call it pain if you like, to actually change like that. You have to work your muscles. So we have to work our muscles, our mind, our intelligence, our body, all of our resources in Krishna's service. And there's always going to be some tension, because that one tension is coming from ignorance to passion to goodness. That's a tension, isn't it? Like when you get up in the morning. How easy is it for you to get up in the morning? You're probably pretty easy, right? You probably don't even sleep. You're one of those kind of devotees. They're always awake. Like that. How about you? Do you have trouble sleeping? Do you have trouble staying awake? Getting up. I'm sorry, that's what I meant. You have trouble getting up. You can sleep on a dime, right? But it's hard because you're moving from ignorance. It's like, oh. People even have these snooze alarms. Anyone here use a snooze alarm? Okay, you don't know. I mean, yeah, you push it. It goes off, you push it to get yourself another 3 minutes, then you push it to give yourself another 3 minutes. That's called a snooze feature. You have one of those on your alarm clocks? You do, you're shaking your head. Okay, yeah. So it's like, because it's so hard to get up. It's like, So it's a struggle, moving out of the modes of material nature. Like that. So, but one should not be afraid of the fight. And to have that intelligence, we have to be properly situated. Because that's and everyone, what do they say? What is that Latin, seize the day? For seize the day, carpe diem, seize the day. In other words, one should be alive and very, very enthusiastic, and utsahanishthad dharyat. That's a symptom. Doesn't mean it's not going to be easy, but one's enlivened. One's very enlivened to become Krishna conscious, to keep going, become more and more advanced. And there's also ruchi. It's not just grit, right? Was it True Grit? That was I think some old movie with probably someone like I don't know, just like John Wayne or something like that. No. Ananda Buddhi Vardhanam. There's so much pleasure and happiness in Krishna consciousness, and we just want to become more and more and more Krishna conscious. We want to be enthusiastic. So all these things, we have to put ourselves in a situation where we can feel that the most. And Prabhupada says, therefore, there's manashram. If one's not Brahminic inclined, maybe they're Kshatriya or administrative, maybe one's a Vaishya. There's one lecture I was listening to, I think it was Sridhar Maharaj was saying, there was a Sannyāsi, disciple of Prabhupada, that it was interesting, whenever he went to India, he came back with a whole suitcase of all kinds of things to sell to all the devotees. That's what he did all the time. It's like, Maharaj is in town. And that's actually what he was. He was a Vaishya. He wasn't really a sannyasi. He was a Vaishya. Just turned a business and got the deal and this and that. He just, wherever he showed up, he would be selling stuff. He's a Vaishya, not a sannyasi. So, or what everyone's brahmachari, Gṛhastha, Vanapras, sannyasa. Everyone should find that position in life. Now, of course, these are orders in life, but also just means even our day-to-day life. What's going to give us the most strength? Our sadhana and our day-to-day activities and so on. So, and that changes as we age, as the years go by. It can change, and so it should change. But one should be very, very careful to keep themselves always strong in Krishna consciousness, and there may have to be adjustments, and one should do that. Now, in this particular purport, it's referring to our late godbrother, Madhavis Maharaj. And I'll read a little bit from the diaries, Transcendental Diary, because Prabhupada wrote this purport in Honolulu when he was dealing with the whole situation at that time, if you know the history behind it. Okay. Yes, the purport we just read. Prabhupada actually is going to be referred to. I got two selections here. So Prabhupada's in Hawaii, had been staying there for quite some time. And it's interesting, you read the diary here, it's like one problem after the next. You got Siddha Sarup and this and that, and Guru Kripa Maharaj burning everyone out and fighting with Trivikram Maharaj. And Prabhupada's just dealing with all these things and then giving class, and Prabhupada's speaking on Ajamil, those verses, just like pounding away. If you listen to those verses in Honolulu, in Hawaii, 76. But, so there was some talk about the fact that, and I was in Boston at the time, and he had some problems in Australia. So they switched his zone to get him away from what was going on there. And his part of his zone, or maybe his only zone, was New England. So he came to Boston when I was there, Madhavis Maharaj. And very, very dear to Srila Prabhupada, empowered preacher. They called him the Emperor of Kirtan. That's what we were told when we were brahmacharis. And we were told, Prabhupada called it, and we were told he could actually shoot sparks off his kartals. We were told that. And when he came to Boston, we were wondering, when's he going to start shooting those sparks off the kartals when he's leading Kirtan? But he was there. He had become the GBC for New York City and Boston and so on and so on. He was there for some time, and then he went away. But they tried to help him. Let me just, because of the time, previous to when I'm reading, there's been some conversation with Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada wanted to wait to personally see him to discuss this. And he asked no one. He asked it when Tamal Krishna, of course Tamal Krishna was a good friend of his, but Guru Kripa or Pushta Krishna, these other sannyasis, don't say anything, let me talk to him personally. But anyways, a telegram arrived today. It read, quote, "My head at your feet, stop. Under the circumstances, my only recourse is to resign as GBC, stop. Please allow me to remain serving you in some humble way, stop, letter to follow." It was simply signed Madhuvisa. It appeared to be a confirmation of the recent suspicions that he was experiencing personal difficulty in his sadhana and associating with the brahmacharini in Australia. Prabhupada said that circumstantially at least, he appeared to have fallen down. Prabhupada wanted to respond by telegram immediately, but there was a problem. Madhuvisa's telegram was sent from Brooklyn and bore no return address. He had left the temple and no one knew where to send a telegram. Eventually, in the early afternoon, Pushta Krishna sent Prabhupada's reply to the temple, "It would be better if you come to Hawaii." Bhaktivedanta Swami, so Prabhupada wanted to personally see him. Tamal Krishna Goswami called and explained that he had privately confronted Madhuvis with the letter that had been found in Australia. Madhavis first denied having written it, but then after having been informed that Srila Prabhupada knew of the situation, he said he wanted to fly to Hawaii to see Srila Prabhupada. The devotees gave him $500 for his fare and dropped him off at the New York airport, but he hasn't been seen since. Pushta Krishna Maharaj spent a long time on the phone in the evening informing all the temples in Madhuvisa's zone on the East Coast that he had fallen and is no longer the GBC. However, when he came in to report his actions to Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada was very angry. Prabhupada was made aware of the initial suspicions in Australia, but his idea had been to keep the affair quiet until he reached New York, where he could see Madhuvis personally and attempt to clear everything up without a scandal. He wanted to save him, and he was upset that news of Madhuvisa's fall down was now widespread. He rebuked Pushta Krishna, "Now you have made it impossible for him to return." He was also angry with Guru Kripa Swami. "That Guru Kripa, I told him not to tell anyone," unquote. Although Prabhupada found no fault in Tamal Krishna's approaching Madhuvis because he had done as a friend, he said that Guru Kripa had disobeyed him by discussing it with Tamal. Prabhupada was unhappy that they had acted without first informing him of their intentions, yet he conceded that there was a great possibility that Madhuvis would have left anyway because of his inactivity and devotional service. With great regret, he said that this was his godbrother's main complaint, that Westerners cannot maintain the Sannyāsa ashram. He recalled how his German godbrother, does anyone remember his name? Sadhananda, caused disruption by his nonsense dealings with women. So I guess it's a perennial problem, like that. In the evening, I had a few words alone with Srila Prabhupada. This is Harisari. About the whole affair. Introspective, he has spoken very little about it. Madhuvis has long been one of his top men. His fall down has come as a blow. It is obvious, despite his not displaying much external emotion, that Prabhupada is greatly concerned about the loss of one of his best disciples. His affection for Madhavis and appreciation for all his service notwithstanding, it is also yet another managerial headache. He is greatly disturbed that even the main men who he has so patiently trained up are still falling down. His hope of retiring from active management is now once again thrown into doubt. With a sober look, he said resigningly, "What can I do? I am working with all third-class men, fools and rascals. These things are going on simply by Krishna's mercy." Here's a point here that I want to bring up about Prabhupada's preaching. This incident has shown me even more the expertise of His divine grace in engaging all classes of men in devotional service and in making the best use of whatever little facility He has given. Whatever strength this movement has lies in Him. Even with inadequate and unqualified manpower, He's showing that one can nevertheless be eminently successful in spreading Krishna consciousness if he is sincere and surrendered to Lord Krishna. So, and let me just read this last section here. We discuss more, this is on May 16th, we discussed more about Madhavisa's problems this morning. Prabhupada told Krishna that if someone is too agitated to maintain sannyas, he can change his ashram and become a householder, but he should not go away and end his service to the Lord. In reference to Gṛhastha Dasa, who now has 2 wives, Prabhupada said that in principle we do not object to polygamy, but those who choose this are not to live as part of our ISKCON society. Although he has not spoken a great deal about the loss of Madhavisa, last night he dictated a long commentary in his 8th canto purport to verse 30 in chapter 2, directly relating to this incident. The chapter is about Gajendra the elephant and his fight with a crocodile. In it, Prabhupada stresses the need to keep oneself fit and strong. He wrote that without physical strength, enthusiasm, and sensual power, one cannot fight with Māyā. His conclusion was that one should keep oneself in the ashram in which one feels a normal condition of life. Because Gajendra was a creature of the land, even though he was an elephant, he was defeated by the crocodile because he was captured in the water. The crocodile was getting stronger and he was getting weaker. Similarly, he said that even if one is found to be weak in one ashram, he should not stop fighting the crocodile of Māyā. He should go to the ashram which is suitable for him and continue the fight. He should not go away. So, and of course, maybe I referred to this. One thing is that one has to be very careful not to use this as an excuse to give up the fight. Oh, Prabhu, I need to sleep about 10 hours, and I need 6 meals a day, and I need this, and actually you're not fighting anymore. So the whole thing is, we have to be very intelligent. And like Prabhupada told one Mataji in one letter, that if you don't have intelligence, you know what you're supposed to do? Find someone who does have some intelligence. So consulting with respected God brothers, God sisters, senior devotees and so on, what should I do? Like that. Because sometimes it's not obvious. And someone who's just like we're talking about fighting in a war situation, talk to an experienced soldier who's ducked a lot of bullets and been through a lot of battles. It probably can give you some good advice. You know, when to keep your head down and this and that and whatever. So, because nothing's new. Just like Prabhupada referred to his god brother, Sadananda, created a problem there in the Gaudiya Math. It's nothing new. So how to get through this, how to get through and be successful in the battle against Māyā, should always be consulting those who have been fighting longer and are still alive. Because sometimes we have casualties. It's a war. There's always going to be casualties. We don't want to be a casualty like that. So that's a point the Prabhupada's making here is stay in the fight, and exactly how to do that, how to stay strong. We should always be carefully reading Srila Prabhupada's instructions and learning from older devotees, more experienced devotees. We can learn actually from everyone. You know, you can learn from even The most sinful person, you can learn a lesson. What's the lesson you learn from a very sinful person? Don't do what they're doing. Look at them, they're suffering like anything. I shouldn't be sinful. So you can learn, there's a lesson to be learned everywhere. Yeah. All the different personalities you can learn from. So that's the takeaway from this. And the fact that Prabhupada was very, very, very moved by what had happened. Upset and so on, but he actually great affection for Madhavis, always. In fact, when Madhavis came to see Prabhupada, Prabhupada was leaving this world in Vrindavan. He had kind of shaved up, and first thing Prabhupada said, how's his wife, and he had a kid, and Prabhupada was just so affectionate. And, sometimes the question had come up about, if someone gives up sannyāsa and this and that, whether they should take their life, that's a whole other story. Where Prabhupada said that, he's just pushing on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, and he just wants everyone to stay in whatever capacity they can and help push on the movement. We're all, what do they call it, damaged goods? Sometimes you hear that expression. Someone shows up and they say, oh, they're damaged goods. You know what that means? Damaged goods. If you order something from Amazon, right, and the box is out front and it's crushed, it's a damaged goods. It's not in very good shape. So in Kali Yuga, we're all pretty much damaged goods. We're damaged by the age of Kali. It's right there in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, right? Was that verse? Short-lived, unlucky, misguided, this, that. We're damaged goods. Always disturbed. Hiupadruta, always disturbed. Prabhu, what's wrong? Our minds are like all over the place. So we're damaged goods. But despite being damaged goods, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's Patita Pavana. He's the Lord of those who are damaged goods, like the fallen souls, like the most fallen. He'll lift us up, lift us up. So, any questions or comments on this purport by Srila Prabhupada?
Just one recounting, because you mentioned about that may take their own life, And of course, there's a famous event of that, but it was kind of all a misunderstanding.
Yes.
It was tragic. My morning walk, 76, and Vishnu John Swami was on the walk. Many sannyasis were there. The CC had come out, and there was that part where of
Chota Haridas.
Chota Haridas. I always thought that he was a sannyasi. Because Prabhupada says he's renounced. You're in the renounced order of life. And you didn't know he wasn't?
No, I didn't know that.
He's brahmachari. He was
brahmachari.
Yeah. Anyway, so the sannyasis are walking, and everyone has read that, and or maybe Prabhupada actually was that morning. He was part of the class, whatever, but it was in everyone's mind, And Prabhupada, and so they asked Prabhupada, is this really the remedy if we look at a woman, with some lust, and then we have to go commit suicide eventually? So yes, this is. I said, Prabhupada, if and then the walk went on. Vishnu John heard that and he dropped back. He didn't hear the rest of it. And then they said, Prabhupada, then we weren't going to have a movement, Well, I'm not as strict as Lord Chaitanya, I don't recommend that, because he's... But then, where's Vishnu John? And Rebhatinandana Swami was on there, and he was his cousin, I think, And Vishnu John had heard that, and he had something... Vyasika came here, he wrote those books, or the two volumes, one about Jayananda and one about Vishnu John, the Radha Damodar Vilas. And when he came here, shortly after they were published, I was talking with him, and I asked him, somehow it came up that he had, did Vishnu have a fall down? And he said, absolutely not. He didn't have like a total fall down. But I think what happened was he had a son, and everything, and maybe he hadn't seen his wife in years, and seen his son in years, and maybe his wife wrote to him. He probably met with her. He probably met the boy and got together with him. That's. But that's in the category of what Chota Haridas did. He saw a woman who was, Anyway, he committed suicide. And Prabhupada, who heard about it, he was very disappointed. Oh, he could have done so much service, you know. And Bali Mardan, there was another one. Prabhupada performed the marriage, famously. There was a lady. I was in the middle of it. I 74, you know, and I didn't know anything about anything. I knew that she was around, but I didn't. But suddenly I saw that a lot of the devotees were in the kirtans. They weren't very enthusiastic, you know. Everyone was kind of a pall over everything, you know. I said, "What's going on?" You know. And they told me that she's gotten his attention. You know, she was supposedly the heir of the Toyotas and Hansaduras. Where's all the Toyotas? You know. I mean. So rather than just ban them, and Prabhupada performed the marriage, he kept Bali Mardan in service. He was in Bombay when I went there, and he was the one who built the first cart for the first Miami Ratha Yatra on the beach. He was in that pool. He had a pool with no water in it, and they put the stuff in there, and he spent weeks building that cart. So he stayed involved. Anyway, a couple of vignettes.
Yes. Prabhu, microphone.
Thank you for the class. I have a question that sometimes we cannot recognize that, for example, I am not in good condition, and I try to continue. And maybe can you speak tell some criteria that to test ourselves?
That's a very good question. Sometimes we don't really know what our own situation is, and a quick answer to that is the story of Bharat Maharaj, that he went to meditate by himself, all alone. And Prabhupada in those purports is making the point, better you stay in the association of devotees, because you start going off, you're falling for a deer, something like that. Someone says, Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Prabhu, I don't really think you should be doing this or that. If you stay in the association of devotees, you help them and they help you. Whereas when you're on your own, easy to make a lot of mistakes. We've already made so many mistakes, and also throughout the Bhagavatam, there's always the reference to the mind. Never trust your mind. It's like a wild animal in a cage, and you think everything's okay, and then all of a sudden, just like I was telling you about this, the Varma's house I was at, about the elephants. They went to some elephant sanctuary and very nice. They also went to this place for tigers. And they showed me these pictures. Now these tigers are like gigantic. Now I've heard that tigers can be like 1,000 pounds and so on. And and I asked the daughter, she's out of college. I said, did you have to sign something like if I get mauled and killed, it's okay? He said, yeah, you have to sign that before you go in the cage. It's kind of like an open area. Yeah. And you go and you get selfies, pictures with the tigers. And there's pictures of them sitting there, and this tiger behind them is like a giant, like 1,000-pound tiger, just like, rrr. And I said, my God, it's like, who would go into a place like that? You trust them, because I said, well, all those different stories. There was that famous act in Las Vegas, that tiger just like turned on him after all those years, and you always hear about that, they all put your head in the mouth of a tiger, and all of a sudden the tiger goes, this is my chance. I never liked you anyways. Can't trust an animal. They have their instincts, and sooner or later they go off. So the mind is like that. Never trust the mind. So better we stay in association. We're always safe in good association. Even in a very advanced, the whole sort of Bharat Maharaj, even at a very, very advanced platform of Krishna consciousness, Māyā can get a little opening, and so. But if you can imagine if he was with some other devotees, say, "Come on, Prabhu, it's a deer. Come on, stick to your sadhana. You can't go. You can't, leave your japa and go out and walk with the deer. You got to stay here and chant your rounds, or cook the offering, But he's all by himself. He started thinking, this is very important. This is more important than my sadhana, taking care of this little deer. So cute. Little fawn, like that. He didn't have a New York accent, but what I'm saying? He started rationalizing what he was doing was just fine. So that's why we should always be happy in the association of advanced devotees. You get the sauce all the time with Maharaj. Every time you come in that back door, he's yelling at you. You're very lucky. You're very fortunate. So we can end here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.